Hello.
Hello. Ooh.
A new series.
Killing Eve.
I quite like the name Killing Eve because it reminds me of Keeping Faith. It's like a sort of something ing with a name. That's the kind of only comparison I can think of. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's new series. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, famous for two very notable things. Fleabag, which is a series that has had a lot of positive reviews and excitement, and we watched, and
Which was originally a very short play, wasn't it? That got
it was a monologue at the Soho Theatre, I believe, and it was picked up and then developed. Great inspiration for all of us there. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge herself also played the gender-neutral robot android in Solo, the Han Solo film. She was the voice of. So therefore the Star Wars.
She's a very, very clever woman.
Very clever woman. And she is the girlfriend of Martin McDonagh, the director of 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and 7 Psychopaths. So what a creative team. Going out for dinner with those two, dinner party with those two, is both going to be entertaining, but you may well have a very horrendous end, because they do like to do deaths in very dramatic ways. So anyway, new series come through on BBC. I think it's all available on BBC Three iPlayer as well. So you were a bit hesitant going into this.
It was really funny because I said to my, I'm kind of dreading this a bit. And I didn't know why. I think, why was I dreading it?
I don't know why. I kind of know what you meant though, because as we moved through yesterday doing our stuff as we do, we were approaching the idea of watching it. I got a bit heavy-hearted too. I don't know whether
it was
really odd. I sort of thought,
it's not going to be
another bloody BBC series that's all right, but
And yet, we are watching The Brilliant Trust on the BBC.
And we're watching Bodyguard, which is also on the BBC. So maybe we were just a bit world-weary on a Saturday and didn't fancy having to watch anything. But we watched it, and this is the
So we ordered a curry, settled down.
Yeah. And I think the sign of a show that does a very good job is if you go into it really disinclined to enjoy it, and at the end of it, you're looking at each other going, well, I was looking at you at the end of it thinking, are you going to stay up and watch the whole lot in a binge watch?
I would have. But I knew it was not sensible.
Oh, yeah.
I would
when have you ever been sensible?
I am also quite sensible about sleep. Because I know I pay such a terrible price the next day. I really wanted to stay up all night.
3 nights ago, you wouldn't think she was drinking tequila through her eyelid.
So it had a great start to it, didn't it?
It had a brilliant start.
Which we missed.
Fabulous start, which we missed.
We missed because...
because we were so reluctant, we hadn't... No, actually, I was running Maddie to a party,
So we actually just watched the first 5 minutes just now, just before we started.
What a brilliant scene in this sort of gelati sort of cafe.
Ice cream parlour.
But her looking at that girl.
Well, it was such a clever scene because from that, it is unequivocal that she is, of course, a sociopath. She's trying to smile at this little girl. The little girl's not smiling
back.
Or a psychopath. A sociopath, I believe that a psychopath, you can be born a psychopath, but then by your nurture... You can
be taught to be a sociopath.
Well, if you have a very, very bad upbringing, and I believe, but I'm sure I'm totally wrong, this is what I've always believed, that if you have terrible things happen to you as a child,
psychopathy is something you're born with, whereas sociopathy is something you inherit, you sort of learn or develop.
That can develop from being a psychopath. But then, I've seen plenty of documentaries with sociopaths that have sat there and said, I've had a totally normal childhood. So if there's any psychiatrists out there that want to clarify that for us.
I would also say our industry is littered with both psychopaths everywhere. And sociopaths.
And politics.
And politics. For some reason, there's something about that sort of creative...
Do you think we ought to start reviewing this blooming
Yeah. Anyway, get on with it. That first scene, which we've just seen,
the first scene where we are shown she's a psychopath or a sociopath or whatever path you like.
A very sweet girl.
It was a brilliant scene. Loved it. I love that. Economy of line.
Economy of shot.
Economy of shot. We were just told so much.
Economy of look.
She is going to become a new favourite actress of mine, Jodie Connor. I didn't see My Big Fat Diary, but it was very successful, wasn't it? No. And she is phenomenal in it.
Yeah, I mean, quite remarkable. And I think this sort of ice maiden, slightly Mata Hari, do you remember Mata Hari in the 70s? She has the, she's an assassin. Let's not beat around the bush.
Exquisitely beautiful. And everything you want to imagine that like a Russian assassin. I mean, she's not Russian.
Well, we don't know. Is she Russian? She's
French.
She's Slavic. Is she French? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
But she has a veneer to her that's chilling, doesn't she? A veneer to her skin, a veneer to her personality, a veneer to her eyes, where and you can feel Phoebe Waller-Bridge having real fun with the anarchy she could bring into this.
But she's also very funny, so she's a brilliant, I mean, she's one of the most interesting female protagonists I've seen for a long while.
Well, you said at one point, what a part to play.
Yeah, that's like a dream part. And what's so great, so you get introduced very quickly, straight off to Jodie Comer, and then Sandra Oh.
Yeah, Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh from...
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, yeah. American Asian actress who is just...
Yeah, I was really resistant to her at first. I don't know why. I sort of thought, I know I've seen her in I think Grey's Anatomy. I thought, who is this woman they brought over from the States and da-da-da. Oh my God, I thought within the first... Here's the thing. Almost the first scene. The first scene is obviously her lying on her hands, but that first scene where she's with that great actor, I forget his name, I'm going to have to look him up. Who's the actor who played...
do you know why I was...
David Haig. Yeah, no, but can I just say...
Sorry.
When they were in that meeting with the Russian police and Fiona Shaw was there and they were working out what the crime was, I loved their stuff that they were doing about the distraction and with the kind of cake and their hangovers from the night before.
Yeah, that was in the writing and that was really fantastic. But I know why I was a bit nervous about her. And it was because I think so often when an American comes into a British cast, forgive me, Brits, they're on such a different level with their acting that I thought it was going to
Oh, you thought she was going to outshine everyone else. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But that's not the case because everybody in it, every actor in this is fantastic.
I had a different fear. I thought she was going to be very American, which has a different thing to it. I don't mean that in a negative way, but sort of for me,
that it would jar against
the British order. There's an ordinariness to Britishness, and I thought her sort of the glamour of just being an American would kind of outshine the ordinariness.
Similar things.
And that great actor who I just mentioned who was sitting next to her, he's brilliant. He's in so many things. He's so good, but. She was actually very brilliantly ordinary in her mannerisms, in the way she sort of occupied the part. I just found her utterly believable and captivating, actually.
She had fully inhabited her character.
So there's this, anyway, so clearly murders are happening. There's a murder, so the first murder's in Vienna. And then we go to Paris, which is where our assassin arrives.
And we don't see the first murder. We're just told that in the debrief.
But it's inferred by one simple, beautiful shot where she just wipes a blob of blood from her watch.
Oh, I didn't see what that was.
Yeah. It wasn't ice cream. It was a bit of blood. She just went like that.
God, I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, we see up here for looking, down there for dancing, or whatever she says. Yeah. But there was a really great character in this, and I forget his name. Let's find out the character's name. Constantine. He was brilliant. He's sort of like...
by someone called Kim Bodnia.
Kim Bodnia. He's brilliant. I've got a man crush on him immediately. He's an older man, so it's a kind of... I don't have old man crushes. But he sort of seems to be Assassin's... sort of the one giving her missions or her assignments or something.
He's the conduit from the big guys, isn't he?
I love their relationship. And so they have a strange sort of, it's like a batting to and fro sort of rapport.
Well, I think they're shared psychopaths, aren't they? So that they play.
Yeah. What happens when you get two psychopaths in a room?
Oh, it's very interesting.
They don't kill each other. That's the weird thing.
I've been in between two psychopaths playing.
Have you? What happened?
I'll tell you later.
Well, you came out alive. She meets she's with this guy, so we have that nice setup of this assassin, and at this point, she sort of takes off that sort of breast restrictor, and so, Sandra Oh in London is starting to kind of piece together what the hell happened in this Austrian murder.
Because the murder has happened outside of the CCTV footage.
Yes.
There is a survivor, the girlfriend of the sex trader who has been murdered.
Oh, yes.
And
that's a great scene. That's a brilliant scene. When she was in the hospital.
When she's in with the interviewer, and
it's like that.
Yeah, our detective goes in. She shouldn't. She's gone in.
Yeah, she's gone sort of. She's broken the rules. She's broken the rules.
And gone in and spoken to her and taped what she had to say. Now, at this point, and this was one flaw I felt in the writing throughout the episode.
Yeah.
I didn't really get why she cared so much.
You know what?
The detective, she was obsessed, convinced that she was a woman, that the assassin was a woman. She was convinced that she had to get there and prove it. And I just needed a bit more context. But it's okay, it's only a little film.
No, but I agree. And also what kind of it's hammered that home and made it, I agree with you totally, was the fact that they were so distracted with what they were having to eat in the briefing earlier in the film. It's like they had no interest in the
Exactly,
in the case.
so it was
and
really
suddenly
odd.
they had a real interest
And
in
what
the case.
happened, and I'm surprised as an actress, she didn't say, hang
What's
on.
the catalyst?
What's my motivation here? Why do I suddenly care? I mean, there's a little of the subtext that she's frustrated and bored with her husband. So she overthinks she's very, very bright, she's very smart. So maybe she just overthinks things.
What did you think of her husband? What remarkable...
Well, let's not go off on one yet, because we're still in the room.
Oh, okay.
Where she...
With the woman who was speaking what she called heroin Polish. Does anyone speak heroin Polish? I love that.
Because she was talking and she was
writing.
so drunk and so off her face, and it was a step. That actress, that happens to her, and then she gets murdered.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the best performance of a small part. She needs to win an award for it.
Stunning.
It was brilliant.
I mean, I don't know if she'd taken heroin to research it, but it was quite remarkable.
So fantastic scene. But in there, she actually tells our female detective, in the middle of her drunkenness, she says something. And we later discover, because our detective Sandra O has taped it on her phone. Her husband is Polish. She takes it home to her husband, and they listen to it. In it, it says, she has said, small-breasted assassin.
Yeah.
But we've already seen the assassin, when she got home, take off a bra flattener, which you hadn't noticed.
Now, I needed Nadia to explain that to me, because there was a huge amount of Velcro, and I just thought this was an ordinary sports bra that most women bought for general physical activity.
Initially, I thought, is it a bulletproof vest?
Well,
but then why was it only there? So I sort of dismissed it, and then obviously later when we got this, the assassin was very small-breasted, and when she's looking through assassins, one of them is big-breasted, pendulous breast, and she dismisses it because she thinks I'm only looking for a flat-chested woman.
Yeah, who said the pendulous breasted
Well, they were looking up, her and her assistant were looking up other assassins. And said, there was this woman.
Oh, but she had pendulous breasts. Yeah, very funny, very funny. I like the way they got body politic in there. That was good. Well, then we move on to our assassin proceeds to do a second murder.
Oh my God!
Jesus Christ.
It was so good!
Can I just say, but there was a really, really cool
setup.
moment. I love the setup where she kind of really sort of and this is what I like. It's like sushi program making. Minimal of shots, beautifully subtle editing, conceived sequences into a villa. She goes into a villa. She has a wonderful little exchange with this boy who's been essentially bullied by his granddad at a party. You know, as the water.
He's a bit of a mafioso.
He's a bit of a mafioso. Yeah, that's what we think. Or he's
and it's a beautiful setup. Everything's really gorgeous.
You wanted to be there, didn't you?
Villa. It's Italy. It's hot. She's.
Someone said Positano, and I was just like, oh yeah.
Positano.
But anyway, so she climbs in through the villa, classic sort of Matahari, classic assassin stuff. And then she's having this exchange with the grandson of this guy whose party it is. And then she gets him very sort of neatly to sort of almost partake in some hide and seek, because she wants to bring his granddad up. So the boy...
No, she doesn't. She chucks him in the bathroom and says, if you come out, I'll kill you.
No, that's right. She says, and I'll feed your head to you or something.
Yeah,
I'll eat your head.
Yeah.
She's the kind of babysitter my mum used to find for me.
Carry on.
Yeah, brutal. And then... So he comes up, the grandfather. He thinks that she's been brought in for a bit of doodah by someone.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've just got a bit of sun flare there.
Sorry.
It's come back now, you've moved it.
Sorry.
Why did you move it?
It's annoying me.
Oh, it's so annoying. So he assumes he can kiss and touch and do all that stuff. What does she do?
Are we saying?
I think we're saying this. We've said that people die.
She said, you really shouldn't touch anyone without asking. And then she goes like this, and he thinks she's taking her hair down.
Hairpin.
She takes out her hairpin, and she stabs it in his eye.
And then this stuff comes out of whatever's...
And then she injects, and it's not a quick death.
No.
It's not a quick death.
No.
She leaves him there shaking in terror.
Yeah.
And then, do you want to put your sun thing back on?
No, because
it was difficult because I was bending underneath to talk to the people.
Sorry, people.
And then what does she do? Or she gets a pen and she writes her name on it.
No, she writes down the designer of the silk thing that he's just told her has been made. She said, where'd you get this from, this throw? Yes, it's by an artist who makes everything in silk. She's that much of a nutter. This is her way of doing Pinterest.
And then just as he's dying, she shows it to his other eye.
Oh yeah, she did that. absolute nutter. I have met a few women like this.
She is exquisite.
Exquisite. And it was an exquisite death. And of course, the poor grandson round the back comes out and sees his
dad with this injection.
Well, his granddad or his dad, yeah, maybe his dad, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that was pretty damn dramatic. At this point, I was hooked.
But throughout everything, she's having the best time of her life.
She really
She's
is.
enjoying all of it,
Which
makes it even more captivating, doesn't it?
Does she sort of channel what a lot of women would like to do, do you think? Do you think she's a sort of outlet for sort of restrained female aggression?
No. Continue.
Okay, so afternoon, so we cut back to the assassin. She goes back to Paris, or she's in Paris, I don't know. Anyway, she just happens to have, because her assistant comes in, the guy sets all her agendas and missions, just happens to have two other people in the bed with her, doesn't she?
Yeah,
She says,
a woman and a man.
Yeah, what does he say? Afternoon, everybody. And she just kind of, a woman gets up, a man gets up. Her moral boundaries are not there.
She's voracious in her appetite because she eats. What about just before
She's
she
a moral
kills him? We've forgotten.
minefield.
Just before she kills the guy in Italy, you see her. She's pulled up a bike and she's just squeezing a tomato on bread and she eats it with mozzarella. And so she's everything. She's got greed for everything.
She's everything a man thinks he
Oh my
wants.
God!
But then when you get
such
there,
a brilliant part. Every
Run for
actress
the
must
hills.
be. I tell you what, there must be some actresses who wish they had a hairpin for her.
Yeah. So anyway, so he gives her next mission. So we're going to get a third death, although it's only the second one that we're going to see. And this mission is to knock off the mad woman-speaking heroine Polish, who's currently now in a hospital in London. And all of our police characters, including Sandra Oh, obviously, are rushing off to get stuff out of her, even though they're a little bit unhappy that Sandra Oh's got stuff out of her illegally. So our assassin is essentially going to be sent over there to deal with her. And we have this very lovely scene where we're in the hospital, aren't we? And Sandra Oh goes into the bathroom. And doesn't she having a bad day? She sort of takes her hair down and goes nuts. The assassin comes out of the cubicle.
Talks to her
next to
and
her.
looks at her hair and says, "Wear it down."
Yeah.
So she does. She starts to take it back down. Meanwhile, the assassin has gone into the room where said Polish heroin chic woman has been slaughtered. Her, the nurse, the doctor, blood everywhere. What?
I just need to say, it was a remarkably similar scene to a brilliant hospital scene in Seven Psychopaths, the film by her boyfriend, in which Woody Harrelson comes in and kills Christopher Walken's wife. Very similar and just as effectively done. I'm not saying it was stolen from that, but a really powerful scene. Inspired.
Yeah, so it's brilliant.
Yeah. So she goes in there. So once she's come out of the loo, Sandra Oh, everyone's gone. Everyone's dead. Bar the heroine Polish woman who's still...
So, of course... And she's taken a young Polish boy to get him to talk to her because pretending that he was a relative because she wanted to get more information because she's so obsessed with finding out who did this murder. We still don't really know whether she's that obsessed. So consequently, of course, she's in huge trouble. She's broken every law in the book. And the next time we see her, she's with Haig. What's his name?
Yeah, Michael Haig. Is it Michael?
Michael Haig.
No, that's David Haig.
David Haig.
Big shout out to David Haig. I like you, David Haig.
Actor.
You're a great actor.
And they sit there, basically get a complete bollocking.
Yeah.
And they both get sacked.
Yeah.
But later on that night, Fiona Shaw's character, who is the big boss, comes to her house, takes her out for a walk and explains that this assassin has killed multiple people and she's getting far too big for her boots and something needs to be done.
So Fiona Shaw kind of acknowledges that actually Sandra Oh is onto something, and so behind the sort of authorities is kind of going to invite... I thought there was a very funny scene about inviting her out and they should meet. People will think we're lesbians. We'll let them think we're lesbians, and clearly Fiona Shaw is a lesbian.
Oh.
There we go. So Fiona Shaw, who I'm not normally a fan of, I really liked her in this.
Yeah, it was faultless.
It was faultless. We were
apart from, we need a little bit more context of what's driving
it's not
the
faultless.
female detective.
Not faultless. That was
faultless.
incorrect. It's faultless apart from
There
that.
are many faults.
But I thought it was an absolute triumph of me and you both sitting there reluctant to go with it, built up to a point, a frenzy of murder.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Great female characters,
Brilliant.
Very good male actors.
Fabulous.
And wow, what a shout out for a brilliantly written script.
Oh, absolutely brilliant.
She is obviously going to continue to be a star on and on and on.
And Jodie Comer, you're good. Wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you.
You're bloody good girl.
Bloody good.
She's
Especially with
going
a
to
hairpin.
end up in Hollywood. She's
Have
going
you
to
got
be
any
a
hairpins?
massive star.
Have you got any hairpins?
here.
Jesus Christ!